Klinkt ook wat logischer. Schleck gaat.
Ja, voilà.
Schleck gaat. Het is die jongen Schleck, dames en heren. Onze Andy.
Daar zaten we op te wachten op iemand die het lef had om aan te vallen en een tegenaanval te plaatsen.
Hij heeft de stijl van zijn broer, hè?
Het is een als 3 druppels water in feite.
Het lijkt een beetje hark en hij komt nauwelijks vooruit. Nou, kijk eens wat een vlucht. Hij gaat daar naar Sella toe, die voor hem weggereden is. En heeft er nauwelijks oog voor. Emanuele Sella. En Andy Schleck. Op zoek naar Piepoli.
Nu de vraag, durft nu Rico gaan? Durft een Koenigo komen nu?
Als ze de Giro willen winnen, dan moeten ze nu wat doen, vind ik.
Ja, want die Andy Schleck onderschat hem ook niet in de tijdritting, hè?
En staat op 1. Schleck speelt. Zijn vriend kwijt.
Ja. Sella heeft zich een beetje verslikt. En Schleck.
Het is toch wel straf. Bjarne Ries heeft daar weer een element uit de lade gehaald. En hij gaat er prijs mee rijden. Het mag gezegd worden, de Deen doet op een...
Schleck heeft hij bijna Piepoli te pakken, hoor. Nu ook al in dezelfde bocht.
Bij de familie Schleck hebben ze binnen dit en een jaar of twee mannen voor de Tour. Schrijf Frank ook al maar op voor een van de kandidaten top 5 voor de Tour, 5, 6. En hij gaat sneller, duidelijk sneller.
Simoni, Piepoli e Schleck ha già ripreso Baikanen, ha ripreso Aerts, ha superato adesso anche Baliani e da nel mirino lo sta riprendendo adesso Paolo Bettini.
Vedete anche la posizione di Schleck mentre sta per essere ripreso Paolo Bettini.
Bravo lo stesso, il campione del mondo, ci ha provato. Gilberto Simoni vuole concedere il bis su poi il 2003, il 2007, lo davano qua Simoni su Piepoli, il ritardo di Andy Schleck è nell'ordine dei 7 secondi.
Фарм-клубе Креди Агриколь. И надо сказать, что так же, как и у Банестовского фарм-клуба, так же, как и у Рабобанковского фарм-клуба, естественно, так не Schleck ли? Что ж, так рано, если так. Обратите внимание, что более выположенный на этапе Тур де Лемузан в августе прошлого года догоняет Schleck. Брута, Брут, не мой номер. Оба отличные горняки. Так бросил Анди Schleck. Бросил, вы видите, Штефана Шумахера. Schleck вообще, у него ростовесовые характеристики такие, что кажется, не закралась ли ошибка в составе... когда составлялся справочник до финишной черты, это уже тоже неплохо. И учитывая подготовительную все-таки роль этой гонки, потому что Giro d'Italia это то, где он впервые будет себя в этом году проявлять как следует. Так что все здесь по времени распределяется как надо. Анди Schleck накатывает. Чемпион Испании в одну группу. С ним сливается, а там еще и Рыбелин. Четвертым колесом. И что же, и Фрэнк Schleck тоже, по-моему, да, здесь, в этой группе? Да, два брата Schleck. Два брата Schleck, Родригес и Рибелин. Очень интересное получается формирование. Да, два Schleck'а впереди, это вообще хрустальная мечта отца. А еще бы, если бы поднялись оба на пьедестал почета. Вообще то, что Бjarne Рису удалось их собрать в одной команде, это так и назовем Сан-Николя, потому что это именно он и есть. Хотя это он же и Санта-Клаус, и ну, мы рассуждали на эту тему, да. Но, конечно, здесь, в этой ситуации, ни Вальверде, ни Рибелину не позавидуешь, потому что два брата Schleck создают такое давление. Тылы закрыты братом. Брат пасет итальянца и австралийца и не дает им турнирами без мышц. Раскручивает и раскручивает. Ну, потом, конечно, горносходитель, каких мало. В молодом поколении я имею в виду. То есть и сейчас он в горе Сан-Николя должен быть в полном порядке. Он пытается создать себе просвет где-то 23 состоит в другой группе. Испанец и итальянец под надежной опекой, в кавычках, естественно. Как это бывает в игровых видах спорта, когда мы говорим с зачетом многодневных гонок. Фрэнк висит свинцовым грузом на Давида Рибелини и Алехандро Вальверде. Да и сейчас может еще и зацепить призовое место из-под них. Но вот сейчас очень важно. Вот она гора, Кот Сан-Николя. Завершение этого подъема на расстоянии 5 километров от финишной черты. Там опять будет спуск, опять пологий подъем. Вот тут очень важно выбрать передачу. Шлеки приезжали сюда заранее, несколько раз проходили эту горку. И я думаю, что передачные соотношения...
Ops, dat is wat anders. Dat is een van de Schlecks.
De kleine Schleck. De Andy.
Voilà.
En Koenigo.
Raus. En Koenigo met een hele knappe reactie dan Igor Anton. En dan zien we ook Lufqvist mee naar voren schuiven. Het kan ook Kirchen zijn.
Dan die Schleck, ja, toch wel.
Koenigo, blijkbaar beter dan gisteren. Kreuziger mee en Anton blijft plakken.
Hij moet passen.
Maar dat deed hij op de Vloemse rond.
Inderdaad. De Andy die zal toch moeten proberen wegrijden hier van die renners, hè?
Voor zijn klassement. Maar anderzijds denk je, zijn broer rijdt aan Menchov. Ga maar door. Popovic, het is op bij hem denk ik. Of heeft hij toch nog een beetje overgehouden? Het gaat te snel voor hem. Dan Cadel Evans toch vaak. Het is niet gekoerst hè, voor de Ronde van Frankrijk. En als hij dan gekoerst heeft, altijd easy going. Op die manier raak je er vanaf van de outsiders. Zie je ze al omkijken? Daar zijn we vanaf. En Andy die neemt een klein beetje voor. Wacht.
Ja, ik denk dat hij...
Een maat voor niets. En daar gaat Andy Schleck. Hoe is die zijn herstelvermogen? Menschel is gaan ribben de bie, hè? Kijk.
Een serieuze dan. Kreuziger makkelijk mee.
Dat moet dan voor zijn broertje zijn. En hoeveel moeten zij nog klimmen? Kilometer of 5, maar die van Evans toch met zwaardere gevolgen. Nog een versnelling van Andy Schleck. Maar blijft hij dat halen? Die moest er al eens af. Nee, ja, dat is weer serieus doortrekken.
Dat is jong en dat herstelt goed. En dat kan van nature uit bergop rijden.
Hij weegt een paar kilo meer dan zijn broer. En dat is een serieuze demarrage, maar niemand volgt hem. Had hij misschien gehoopt dat Frank mee zou gaan?
Ik denk dat Frank gewoon zit te wachten tot de laatste kilometer om daar te proberen een kloof te slaan.
Voilà, er is hij mee bezig.
En niet.
Hoe galant van dat. Het lijkt nu nog een stukje sneller te gaan met Andy Schleck. Carlos Sastre met de eeuwige grimas. Maar dat is een natuurlijke manier van doen, daar kun je weinig van opmaken. Colmé, is Foton daar nog?
Zaak. Al was hij maar dat hij kon bovenkomen met de gele trui of in gezelschap van de gele trui.
Andy Schleck. Als een tijdrijder, Jan Dori.
Toch een gaatje laten ze.
Het is brutaal wat Andy Schleck daar allemaal teweeg brengt hoor. Het toch nog altijd goed mee. Het is voor deze Andy Schleck eigenlijk doodjammer. Zijn mankelieke dalerskwaliteiten. Gaan ze wel wat durven ondernemen. Genomen. Cadel lijkt ook altijd af te zien. Maar het is nu eenmaal zijn houding. Frank loopt al heel lang op de trappers daar. Vooraan komen ze nu op een goede 3 kilometer van de passage.
Dan zijn we nog 3 minuten. Dat zou moeten in principe.
Andy Schleck. Niet te geloven hè.
Ja, 23 jaar.
David Rebellin aussi. Allez, là les hommes forts sont là. Fabian Weckman est là, Samuel Sanchez.
Valverde pas bien, il a rétrogradé.
Et David Delec qui continue là.
Ah s'il pouvait, oh il m'impressionne.
Ah, il est très fort, on sait que c'est un vrai grimpeur. David Delec vient de gagner le circuit de la Sarthe.
C'est là que ça devient dur, hein. Ici il reste
et
300
Evans
mètres.
Qui n'arrive pas à revenir, à boucher le trou pour David Delec qui peut faire un super truc, c'est peut-être, attention à l'accélération de Cadel Evans.
Attention à David Rebellin, ça y est.
Accélération de Cadel Evans. C'est Cadel Evans en personne qui vient d'accélérer.
Rebellin en troisième position.
Qui connaît bien ce final, mais David Lelay toujours en tête, un coureur français qui vient d'être rejoint par Cadel Evans, Andy Schleck, Damiano Cunego, et attention à David et Rebellin, c'est Cadel Evans qui a condamné David Lelay. Coup de chapeau quand même au coureur français, Andy Schleck bien placé. Et Rebellin qui est peut-être le plus fort, le plus malin. Cunego est en train de lâcher Cadel Evans.
Allez, c'est là qu'il faut se faire mal.
Evans, Schleck, Rebellin, faites vos jeux. Nous sommes dans les 100, 200 derniers mètres, 150 derniers mètres maintenant. Cadel Evans peut-être le plus fort, deuxième du Tour de France, accélération de Schleck qui passe Cadel Evans. Et l'attaque de David et Rebellin qui va peut-être réussir la phase de 3. David et Rebellin face à Andy Schleck.
C'est pas gagné.
Andy Schleck qui s'accroche, David et Rebellin. Andy Schleck face à David et Rebellin ne pourra pas revenir rejoindre le coureur italien qui a été invité par Christian Prudhomme qui voulait lui faire honneur et honneur à son équipe qui est une équipe invitée qui n'est pas UCI Pro Tour. Et
ahí va Schleck, Andy Schleck. Cambio de ritmo de Andy Schleck. Acción ahí también Rebellin, Valverde, Frank Schleck. Están cazando ahí a Hubert Dupont ya. Buen cambio de ritmo de Andy Schleck. Y cazan también a Leonardo Duque, se abre el maillot. Cazan también a Isasi, están cazando ya todo el grupo. Paolo Tiralongo. Llegando a la cabeza de carrera Andy Schleck que vuelve a cambiar el ritmo. Qué corredor tan bueno, ¿eh? Súper fino. Kilómetro también, 43 segundos de diferencia. Hay de momento que nadie quiere entrar en esa pelea con Andy Schleck, que está fortísimo en esta subida al Arroyo Faucons. Ahí se pone Gessing ahora. 17 segundos. 15 segundos que le ha sacado Andy Schleck al grupo de los favoritos. Qué planta sobre la bici. Corredor muy delgado. Con un margen de progresión impresionante aún por su edad, Andy Schleck. Esta carrera mucha gente también piensa, ¿no?, que le puede venir bien a Alberto Contador, pero él ha hecho bastantes esfuerzos ya esta temporada, ha conseguido grandes resultados. Y de momento ha preferido descansar ya después de País Vasco para ir preparando ya el Tour de Francia. Que progresaba por parte del conjunto AG2R. Ahí le tienen en distancia también a Andy Schleck, pero que ha sido valiente y ha buscado un ataque desde lejos también para ganar esta carrera. Vuelve Schleck. Como le recordaba, ya le tiene encima Andy Schleck. Ya le tiene encima Andy Schleck. Preparado por si acaso le cambia el ritmo el luxemburgués. Cabeza de carrera pues para dos grandísimos corredores, Andy Schleck y Philippe Gilbert. A ver si nos sacan imágenes ya del grupo que viene por detrás para ver quién se encuentra ahí, aunque hemos visto prácticamente a los que tienen física, Ahí está Andy Schleck, que se está imponiendo también en este repechito por el que está pasando la carrera. Vaya puntito que lleva el pequeño de los Schleck. Impresionante. Yo creo que este es un tramo en el que, yo creo que si no recuerdo mal, el año pasado fue donde aquí se quedó Joaquim Rodríguez, que iba en el grupo con los mejores. Y aquí... metiéndose ya en la localidad de San Nicolás, sacando ya toda la comida para que su cuerpo, su bicicleta pese lo mínimo posible. Arrancando ya estos primeros metros de ascensión a la cota de San Nicolás para un Andy Schleck que la afronta con 1 minuto y medio de ventaja, y eso para un corredor de este nivel es mucho tiempo. Bueno, vamos a ver. Habrá que esperar a ver qué pasa. Ahora sí que hay movimiento. Y su hermano ya que celebra la victoria, Se conocen muy bien estas situaciones de carrera y saben que cuando hay estos parones es muy difícil, Andy que fue cuarto el año pasado. Alejandro Valverde, Rebellin y Schleck se disputaron la victoria de sprint. Frank Schleck fue tercero. Andy, los ánimos para el corredor que va a ganar esta edición 2009 de la Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Una pena para los españoles. Bueno, 500 metros, le quedan nada, 150 metros, 200 para girar a la izquierda y encarar ya la recta de meta. Insisto, una pena, Porque los españoles han tenido mucho más peso en los últimos años. Para meta Andy Schleck. Ya está girando para meta el corredor luxemburgués, que ahora sí ya entrándose llanito, se sabe ganador. Ganador de esta Liège-Bastogne-Liège 2009, Andy Schleck. Cuánta gente ahí. Bueno, y banderas de su país, para aplaudirle y para animarle. Gran victoria de Andy Schleck en Lieja. Y vamos a ver si Joaquín puede colocarse al menos en la segunda posición, porque hace rato ya que les indicaba que ese grupo del resto de favoritos estaba corriendo por la segunda plaza. Victoria para Andy Schleck, 6 horas y media, 6 horas y 34 minutos encima de la bicicleta. Y vamos a ver, Gilbert yo creo que es el que se va a meter por... No, yo creo que Rebellin. Entre Rebellin y Gilbert, pero yo creo que ha sido Rebellin. Y ahí está Frank Schleck celebrando la victoria de su hermano y de su compañero Andy Schleck. Gran carrera para el equipo y gran victoria para Andy Schleck, Gran victoria para Andy Schleck. Ahí está Bjarne Riis, que sabe que tiene una joya en este corredor que hay que cuidar y que hay que mimar. Ahí felicitándole al joven de los Schleck, que acaba de conseguir una victoria impresionante. Ahí llega su hermano también para abrazarle. Insisto, gran victoria para este jovencísimo corredor. Está Brian, el jefe de prensa del equipo, el hermano emocionado también. Y bueno, es que cómo cambian las cosas, con el trompazo que se pegó hace 7 días en la Amstel. Ja is un milagro que esté aquí.
An der Schlussphase konnten den Kureren sich aufsetzen, ënnert hinnen den Andy Schleck. De Munnerefer huet sich am Sprint 4 seg Koekipier Matti Brechel durchgesät, et gong awer net doer fir de Leader vun diesem Tour de
Andy Schleck wel met een kloeke reactie hoor. Dat is wachten. En toch vind ik dat deze Andy Schleck ook nog altijd allure heeft.
Het gaat nog altijd goed. Maar het zal dan voor
Evans, maar toch al op 1 minuut en 8. Met 1 minuut en 8. En Andy Schleck op een goede 38 seconden. Nog 1,5 kilometer.
Wist hoe laat het was op het moment dat hij ging. Geen verrassingsaanval, gewoon weggaan. Wel een verrassingsaanval omdat het van zo...
Dat gemiddelde, bijna 41. En nu, Andy Schleck. Ook hij door die laatste bocht. Contador is 15 seconden binnen. Laatste tijdverschil onder de boog. 45 seconden. Contador is 25 seconden binnen. Andy Schleck, het is voor de spanning man. In elk geval knappe beklimming gereden. Benieuwd wat Andy Schleck straks kan in een opeenvolging van beklimmingen. Daar door de bocht. En daar ligt de streep. Hij is iets dichter gekomen. Voilà. Is nog zo lang een verhaal. En hier, daar gaat Andy Schleck.
Daar gaat het om.
Daar gaat Andy Schleck. En Frank Schleck is ook mee. En Nibali ook. En Contador onmiddellijk mee. En ik denk ook Wiggins. Jawel. Wiggins en ook Kleuden. En ook Kleuden. Armstrong wordt achtergelaten. Armstrong wordt achtergelaten. Hier zaten we op te wachten. Hier gaat Andy. En Nibali. En Frank.
En geen Evans.
Een broederskoppel. Nee, geen Evans. Maar zetten ze door. Ze hebben de gele trui mee.
Ze moeten doorzetten. Dat maakt niet uit of ze de gele trui mee hebben. Ze moeten gewoon doorrijden.
Wat doet Nibali? Frank Schleck gaat nog eens zo venijnig op de trappers lopen. En dan scheurt het een beetje bij Kleuden. Maar die haakt zich vast.
En Wiggins.
Dat zijn formidabele versnellingen hoor. Contador, die krijg je natuurlijk niet zomaar uit het wiel. Maar je moet dit blijven doen hoor, met die succesboeken.
Het is nogal geweest, hij is nog geplooid. Hè? Dus wanneer je niet probeert, kan je natuurlijk niet weten. Ze moeten gaan tot ze zelf eigenlijk niet meer kunnen. En dan...
est parti dans sa roue, Uran semble suivre et derrière, eh bien, on plafonne un petit peu. Cette fois, c'est
le rouge, il va monter à son rythme. Ça fait le ménage. Uran qui s'accroche.
Comme hier, regardez, Clauden est revenu.
Et Lance Armstrong n'est plus là. Si la caméra peut se décaler un tout petit peu après, Andy Schleck a attaqué. Regardez.
Ouais, mais il laisse faire Wiggins, Wiggins et Van de Velde, bien sûr. Frank Schleck. Mais regardez, comme hier, Andy Schleck attaque et puis derrière, ça stagne. Hein, ça veut plus. Ça gicle pas, ça gicle, mais ça...
Bien, regardez, l'écart n'est pas vraiment fait avec le
groupe.
Voilà,
nouveau démarrage. Mais bon, c'est pas... Non, c'est pas...
C'est téléphoné, mais attendez, tout le monde ne suit pas. Hein,
il démarre, il a déjà l'œil derrière.
Tout le monde ne suit pas, il y a Kleuden.
Ça va revenir.
Il y a Kleuden qui suit, non, Wiggins a répondu. Tout le monde a répondu, Uran un peu plus tard que tout le monde. Et Lance Armstrong n'aime pas trop ça, hein, les secousses
regardez
comme
la
ça.
Différence de tête entre... On va peut-être le voir faire comme hier.
Et Andy Schleck qui se dit, ça va pas être facile de lâcher Alberto Contador.
On voit bien la tête, la différence de sérénité entre les deux.
Et Frank Schleck est revenu, hein, ça fait donc 2 contre 2. Hein.
Goubert avec Nocentini et avec Christophe Lemével qui s'accroche toujours sur les pentes difficiles du col de Rome.
il s'est écarté Franck là, non?
Oui, Andy Schleck.
On essaie d'accélérer le rythme pour creuser un peu l'écart, bien sûr.
Il voudrait bien, Andy Schleck, là, que ça se résume à une affaire à 4 et que le c'est un petit peu moins difficile maintenant, là. C'est un tout petit peu moins difficile, un petit peu moins pentu.
Ah, ça va pas faire changer grand chose, c'est tiré. On va aller un petit peu plus vite, donc finalement l'effort reste le même. Simplement la pente un peu moins raide peut favoriser un petit peu plus Wiggins par exemple qui est un peu moins bon grimpeur. Mais bon, devant on va accélérer bien sûr. Il faudra qu'il puisse accélérer derrière aussi, ce qui n'est pas évident.
4 hommes en tête, Alberto Contador, Andreas Klöden et les deux frères Schleck, Andy et Franck. À 35 secondes maintenant, le groupe.
Quatuor de derrière, les 5 hommes, puisque Van den Broek a accroché le bon wagon, eh bien, sont en train de perdre pas mal de terrain, plus de 45 secondes.
Je suis étonné quand même dans le groupe derrière, là, dans le groupe de chasse, qui perd seconde après seconde, après centaines de mètres, de ne pas voir Nibali prendre le relais de Van de Velde.
Il est à fond, je pense. Il est à fond.
Faire une descente rapide pour résister, parce que derrière, évidemment, on imagine que Wiggins, en bon rouleur qu'il est, va prendre des risques pour essayer de revenir. Il peut sauver son podium, Bradley Wiggins. Il reste encore le col de la...
Il ne sera pas favorable face à des garçons comme Bradley Wiggins qui est allé lundi, jour de repos, en hélicoptère, reconnaître le parcours. Ce ne sera pas favorable pour eux face à Armstrong, face à Contador, face à Andreas Klöden, face à Vincenzo Nibali. Donc ils sont obligés aujourd'hui de prendre du temps à Alberto Contador. Ce sera difficile à Klöden aussi, mais pourquoi pas Armstrong ou à Wiggins.
Oui, si on regarde la...
Schleck, alors qu'on est au pied de la Colombière, Laurent Jalabert.
Oui, on est dans la traversée du reposoir. Andy Schleck a directement rehaussé le rythme pour essayer de reprendre sa marche en avant, essayer de creuser l'écart comme ils l'ont fait tout à l'heure sur les pentes du col de Rome où les pentes étaient beaucoup plus sévères. Pour lui dire qu'il n'était pas bien et qu'il attend encore avant d'attaquer. Et les frères Schleck ont compris. Contador n'a pas pris beaucoup de temps pour l'instant, une vingtaine de mètres à peine, et Klöden distancé. Pourtant il était dans les roues, Andreas Klöden. Il y a toujours du vent de face. Et derrière, on n'aperçoit personne. Voilà, donc Contador parti peut-être pour définitivement gagner le tour. Il attend Alberto Contador.
Oui, parce qu'il a sorti Klöden. Il pensait que Klöden... il pensait que Klöden pourrait suivre, mais non. Non. Donc là, finalement...
Il est d'une facilité déconcertante. Hein. C'est impressionnant. Impressionnant.
Klöden va se battre évidemment jusqu'en haut, mais bon, maintenant c'est un petit peu râpé là, pour qu'ils finissent tous les deux, évidemment. Les frères Schleck ne sont pas réputés pour leur sprint non plus.
ni pour la descente. Ni pour la descente.
Donc c'était peut-être ça aussi, l'idée c'était d'aller gagner l'étape avec Klöden.
Et Andy a compris, il accélère là dans le dernier kilomètre de la Colombière. Il accélère Andy Schleck pour essayer de creuser un peu l'écart avec Andreas Klöden, bien meilleur rouleur, bien meilleur descendeur. Ils font pas une super opération les frères Schleck aujourd'hui. Ils ont animé l'étape, mais...
ils vont peut-être même pas gagner l'étape.
L'objectif c'était d'écarter beaucoup de monde. Alors ils ont quand même écarté un peu Allez, ils sont 3, les deux frères. Contador est en jaune. Andy Schleck a fait toute l'étape. Alors, est-ce qu'Andy va l'offrir à Franck?
Ça a l'air d'être ça. Alors, il ne veut pas perdre de temps, Contador. Il va faire la deuxième place peut-être.
Allez, Franck Schleck devant Alberto Contador et Andy Schleck. Ah, j'ai bien fait de parier avec vous, messieurs. J'ai bien fait de parier avec vous. En tout cas, ils ont fait... voilà, c'est mérité.
Voilà, le Mevel avec Calzati.
Et Armstrong, bon voilà.
Il lui a dit quelque chose, ils ont fait le nom de la tête. Voilà, Andy Schleck qui attaque maintenant. Et là, Armstrong répond. Il répond aux attaques aujourd'hui.
Ça fait 3 fois, troisième fois, troisième réponse.
Et la longue accélération de Andy Schleck est derrière, voilà, Nibali et puis Wiggins. Et puis derrière, on va peiner Van den Broek.
Devant le Mevel au classement général, eh bien ils sont allés une dizaine de mètres devant le Mevel derrière Van den Broek, derrière Calzati. Poligno est là et il y a 5 mètres entre Astarloza Van de Velde.
Accélération, pardon, Andy Schleck s'en va. Andy Schleck s'en va avec seulement Alberto Contador dans
il a raison Armstrong de ne pas y aller là, parce que si ceux qui les intéressent, ils sont...
Andy Schleck qui se retourne, Armstrong va ramener tout le monde. Regardez Armstrong, facile, Lance Armstrong aujourd'hui.
Attention,
et nouvelle accélération d'Andy Schleck et Alberto Contador suit de nouveau.
Attention à jouer à ça dans le grand tout.
Il n'y a plus personne, il n'y a plus personne derrière. Samuel, Mikel Astarloza orange est là juste devant lui. Attaque en revanche encore.
Oh là là, fait mal celle-là.
Encore là, Andy Schleck qui vient d'attaquer. Il n'y a que Contador qui peut le suivre quand Andy Schleck attaque.
Oui, mais ça fait... Enfin, c'est vous dire.
Signe que ça va moins vite.
C'est vous dire.
Enfin, il revient, il essaye. Hop, c'est reparti au moment où il arrivait. Et c'est reparti, Laurent Jalabert, Andy Schleck encore, et comme d'abitude, le maillot jaune derrière.
Ouais, mais voilà, à chaque fois il se relève, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Le frère suit pas, on
l'attaque. Et toujours Contador qui...
Simbo est toujours là, c'est bien. Christophe Riblon.
Attaque de Frank Schleck et de Andy ensemble, là cette fois.
Laurent Jalabert.
Oui.
Oui, attaque des frères Schleck, c'était prémédité de leur part, et Contador qui joue les chiens de garde pour l'instant.
Après tout. Attention, c'est long, le dernier kilomètre. Voilà.
Ça y est, c'est parti. De nouveau, cette fois encore Andy Schleck. C'est la 8e ou 9e. On ne sait plus, on ne compte plus.
Ouf, là, il a mis du braquet. Oh, il a mis un très... Ah bah oui, il peut pas avancer. Il y a les motos qui gênent. Bah oui, mais ça arrive. Souille un petit peu. Enfin, souillé. Hop. Oui, Armstrong lui dit. Il a dit Armstrong.
C'est Contador qui lui dit. Mais ça change rien, franchement. Andy Schleck qui va prendre la 3e place.
Il pouvait pas, Frank Schleck, aujourd'hui. Il pouvait pas.
Coup de chapeau à Garaté Martin, qui était dans l'échappée de patin, dans l'échappée à 16.
Il pouvait pas, Frank Schleck, aujourd'hui.
Andy.
As I say, it's a perfect race for you, for any British fans in the future to go out and watch the classic. It is a great one to go out and watch.
There's to be a lot of Belgians here as well. It's Andy Schleck on the push now.
It's a bit more serious.
That's a lot more serious. He's going to come up to the wheel of Mercato very quickly indeed at this rate, and nobody really reacting at the moment, or cannot react at the moment. Super climber that he is, Andy Schleck. Second in the Tour de France, Luxembourg national champion. Probably the more talented of the two Schleck brothers, although most people have been saying that for a long time now. Up to the rear wheel of Marco Mercato from Vacansoleil he goes. Unsurprisingly to get up there, but I am
overjudged it a little bit. I could see a rider that was fairly close behind the motorbike.
Okay, well let's see who's doing the following. It looks like it looks like Gilbert.
I think I was just to say it looks like Gilbert. Maybe I think there's a Lamprey riders there, whether it's Conego or not.
One of the really big favourites, Andy Schleck, goes first. The Schlecks have got the advantage, of course, that they can soften people up by, if Andy decides to keep going and attacking, all the big favourites will have to go with him because he's such a talent. 10 kilometres now, as you can see, on the left-hand side, and Andy Schleck pushing again. Hard. He's got Roman Koisinger, the Czech rider, behind him. He's looking in awesome form, actually, Koisinger. That's the best I've seen him look. And who's animating it behind? Well, surprise, surprise, it's Saxo Bank. No, it's Fuglsang. Fuglsang and Andy Schleck is there, yes. Jakob Fuglsang, the mountain biker turned roadie. Thoroughly nice chap, pushing on at the front. He dreams about winning the Tour de France. He dreams about winning a stage in the Tour. Now Andy Schleck goes. He's got Philippe Gilbert in his wheel. He's not going to let Schleck go because last year he got sprung by him in the last 15 kilometres. Gilbert went off first and Andy Schleck went away, not sure though. And Damiano Cunego of Lamprey, instantly recognisable by the yellow bike and that little style of his. Oh, this is strong riding. Gilbert looking good though, sitting in the saddle and sitting in the wheel tracks of Andy Schleck. Well, one of these men already has a victory here. Andy Schleck last year, and one of these men has a victory this year. With the Amstel Gold Race falling to Philippe Gilbert, who is in super top nick at the moment. This is a hard climb.
Sitting for the moment.
As Tanking can hang on in here as you go past the banner for 20 kilometres to go. Tanking's never in the way. Shake of the head. No way, he says. No way. Contador and I think Igor Anton of Jusko Telescadi. Now Andy Schleck digs in. Can he make it across to the others? 101 was with the peloton, but these come out of the peloton. Alberto Contador and Igor Anton fighting to get up to the group of Alejandro Valverde, Philippe Gilbert and Cadel Evans.
Now of the peloton, as our graphic described it. At the front though, well, it's test yourself before the tour time, isn't it, for Andy Schleck? Luxembourgeois champ. He didn't choose to follow Contador and Schleck. In the end, when they got closer to the summit, he chose to do what he was strong at, which was accelerate then and go for power towards the end rather than pacing himself a bit more in the same style as Schleck and Contador. Rhythm's different, however. I think his new tactic surely is to limit the losses and try and gain it on perhaps the flat stages.
Which is always going to be a struggle. We just saw Eduard Voganov, one of the men involved in the 13-man breakaway earlier on in today's stage, being sucked back into the peloton. And we see out in front here Andy Schleck.
trying to drive things along. Now, obviously, he knows that he doesn't have to protect Fabian Cancellara because there is nothing that can be done to protect the man in the Swiss national jersey. But this has been a highly impressive ride at the moment from Schleck. And are we just seeing the emergence of a man who genuinely could be a thorn in the side for Alberto Contador at this year's Tour de France?
Being played out. Although they're 1 minute 37 behind the leader. And here is Andy Schleck again. He goes up on the pedals. It's a big, big acceleration from the Luxembourgeois. And this could be the acceleration that is about to put him into yellow. 37 seconds behind Tony Martin. But I can tell you he has more than a minute on him at the course. He's pulled away from the rest of the contenders too. He's already seen himself test himself once. Test number 2. For the minute, at least in its early stages, has been well passed. I'm going to tick in another box to put on the pre-tour checklist for Andy Schleck. Andy is the younger of the Schleck brothers. Two inherently talented riders, but Andy Schleck, Vuelta as well, as every classic bar one. Andy Schleck then has left to Jeremy Wine for dead. Rather sneaky of him while we weren't watching, wasn't it?
Y feliz. Fíjense lo que decíamos, Cancellara, Schleck, Evans, Pushop y Geraint Thomas, que es el corredor del Sky que va. Pero tiene 3 minutos, 2.57 de ventaja. Y ahí a la salida del tramo, vamos a ver si...
Sí, he cogido tiempo.
Vale, yo también, pero... Cancellara, que ahora sí que está rodando fuerte en este tramo de carretera, intentando conseguir un cierto margen en la clasificación general para Andy Schleck. Esta etapa que le puede servir para...
Yes, he went clear. He's chasing the face of Andy Schleck. Looks good.
He's just concentrated on his shoulder on the far side. You can see the world champion Cadel Evans behind him. Ivan Basso a little bit further back. Roman Clear in second position. He's covered every acceleration. There's the move by Andy Schleck.
Schleck has gone with an incredible look at the reaction by Alberto Contador. And there's a slow reaction. Sanchez, the Olympic champion's got onto the wheel of Contador. And now Sanchez is going to go past Contador. He wanted the help. He didn't have it. Andy Schleck in northern France with a triple fracture of the collarbone.
Olympic crashed at the 6 kilometers. Sammy Sanchez, Beijing in 2008. He was the Olympic champion. He's got Andy Schleck with him.
Now, followed by Contador. A final kick now. This is like the Olympics reborn.
Well, Andy Schleck needs 30 seconds over Cadel Evans if he's going to think about getting himself the yellow jersey at the end of the day, Phil. But I think more interested in it is to try and get himself the victory. Sammy Sanchez has got the sprint. Andy Schleck's coming up alongside him. They're into the finishing straight, but you know Sammy Sanchez is looking back to see whether or not there's going to be any acceleration from Schleck.
The crowd see the Tour de France and Avoriaz, a second kick by the Olympic champion. It's not enough. It just was not enough.
The gap there in the orange is Sammy Sanchez. He's in difficulty. Olympic champion from Beijing. He was the man who finished second. There's a move by Schleck.
Oh, maybe he's reacting to the criticism of Avoriaz when they said he should have attacked a long way out from the finish and got his time. This time he's giving it a go. He's finding out just how strong is Alberto Contador.
Well, that's a great move, but he's got to have to throw a little bit more at Alberto Contador if he wants to get rid of him. Contador now is on the defensive.
You've got to do all the work yourself. And there's an attack again, and straight after him comes Contador. If he locks onto the wheel, Schleck will ease again and wait again. But where did Sanchez go?
Well, Sanchez popped because of that acceleration. He is at the limit of his ability there. What he will just try and do is slow down. Just look at this acceleration again. Andy Schleck just goes again from the front. That's a tough thing to do. And Contador's really having to dig deep there, Phil, to try and stay in the slipstream of the Luxembourger.
Well, there's no doubt now where the rivalry is in this Tour de France.
And he's going again.
Thought he's gone yet again, but how many times can you do this? Because he's giving Contador a taste of his own medicine here. Contador is the man that usually can accelerate like this, not Andy Schleck. Contador has always said he's worried about the white jersey.
Sent down into the valley below. The descent is about 18 miles.
Here we go
Schleck.
again, and another one. but he's racing him from the front. He's almost inviting him to chase his back wheel. Contador just concentrating on the back brakes of Schleck's saddle, and he just holds that wheel. He's not under too much pressure right now, but Schleck this time is going to hurt him a bit more.
Well, he's hurting him a bit more, but Contador's looking more and more comfortable in his response.
It is every man for himself here now. Every man for himself. Well, today, as Contador attacks here, this had to come, and now it is Schleck countering the move. And he's tried it under the 5 kilometre.
This is where the big battle royale is. There's a move by Contador.
You could see them both grit their teeth at the same time. And again, he was ready for it, Paul Schleck.
Well, Schleck was right on the wheel, and Alberto Contador, Phil, cannot open the gap on Andy Schleck. And I keep wondering, I wonder what it would have been like if Frank had been here. There's another one.
Well, this man is ready, though. He's just content to watch Contador. You've got to take your hat off to them both. They are racing each other.
Well, that's a great ride by them. Here's the sprint now for Andy Schleck. He's going to have a little bit of pride here, and he's going to try and take himself 4th place ahead of Joachim Rodriguez, and he's bringing them up to the line. But what a staged victory there for the French. And there...
Yeah. And this is and there's an attack now because he's lost his pacemaker. He's stretching Alberto Contador. We go 1-to-1 as we head up towards 25 kilometres to the finish.
Needs a minute over the top of this climb because he's a fairly good descender, and I don't see any of these guys, except maybe Sammy Sanchez, bridging a minute's gap on the descent.
Now, what is Alberto Contador feeling like here, being dictated to by the maillot jaune? And one thing's for sure now, Paul, Andy Schleck shows no respect to Contador.
None at all. He wants to honour the yellow jersey. He's used his team.
Who will go over the top? Well clear as we see the move from Andy Schleck. I'm glad our cameras cut back to that one. And it's not Contador yet who's reacted. Now he has. Well, it was Vinokourov.
Well, Vinokourov came
what's happened? His chain's off. Schleck's chain's off.
Yeah,
well, his chain has jammed and Contador's gone. Well, this is terrible. Well, for Schleck, look at this.
Well, this is the big panic now. He's got to get himself back into this race, and this is so unfortunate. This is why you have a big problem when you don't have any teammates alongside you. He's probably lost around about 20.
His yellow jersey. What an incredible event this is. Now all the spectators and a little...
This is when fair play, Phil, has been thrown out of the window, but can this man ride himself back into the yellow jersey, because this guy has got the form today. He was actually just putting Alberto Contador onto the road.
Gone is the yellow jersey. Now, this is going to be the chase of his life.
He is going to be very angry right now because he will know they're taking advantage of a mechanical mishap as he rides past everyone there. Rides past Armstrong as if he's standing still. He comes up to Andreas Kloden as if he's standing still. This man now will be a man possessed. He'll ride with anger, and I think he'll ride himself back up to Alberto Contador. Contador's move there, I think, was a move of panic.
There's Dave in the clean bottle. He is going to be pretty excited himself running up there, but as we now see the yellow jersey applying the tourniquet, kick and kick again. Now we're seeing just how much strength this man Andy Schleck really has, because, and he also
on this leading trio, Denny Menchov is trying to put the nail into the coffin of Andy Schleck. This is the performance of a champion. He didn't panic at all. He stopped to the side of the road. He put his chain back together, and slowly but surely he's riding himself past everyone. Look how fresh he is compared to Rodriguez. He's coming now up to the wheel of
Schleck as he tries to sprint clear. Schleck has caught the back wheel of Robert Gessing, and he's going to have to recover quickly and keep on going here. Time is running out for that yellow jersey right now. He's up behind Leipheimer.
Well, he won't give up. He's caught them group by group. He's now up to Ryder Hezerdahl and John.
Select group containing Vinokourov again. Ryder Hezerdahl is on the shoulder of Hezerdahl, trying to open the gap. But the risk on the descent now, Paul.
There's going to be risk, but I tell you what, you get behind this man in the yellow jersey this afternoon if you want to, because he has not asked for help from anybody else in the Tour de France. This is courage at its absolute best. Andy Schleck has not asked for anything from anyone in this group here, and he's riding himself slowly but surely back up. And
that's the truth of the answer now, where you're on the yellow jersey, you're on the defensive. It's down to you. You've got to recover. You've got to catch back up. And the gap is there at the moment. His overall lead in the Tour de France in one cruel blow has been currently halved.
If there's anybody else there, but I'm not sure there. You can just see Alexander Vinokourov. Levi Leipheimer is there as well.
100 years in the Pyrenees, and what a day. And yellow, and look at the face of this now. He's going to rip down this mountain.
I make it 13 seconds over the top, Phil. 13 to 14 seconds over the top, and that's not very much on the descent. It'll be around about 200 meters. If this man can take 1 or 2 risks in the corners, he should be able to pull himself back into the Tour.
Well, settle down for the dizziest descent we've probably ever seen in the Tour de France. And I'm just glad I'm not on a motorbike. Of 15 seconds to the 2-time winner of the Tour de France.
Well, Andy Schleck now has got to do all of this completely on his own. Look at the way he's using all of that road. Excuse me, Mr. Motorbike, get out of the way, because I am going faster than you. Wolfgang Phil has pulled off. There's Andy Schleck's move.
Well, this has to be now, because he's lost all his teammates. Now it's time. It's come down to the top 2 riders in the Tour de France. Schleck grits his teeth. All Contador has to do is follow.
Well, that's all he's doing by this acceleration.
And what an acceleration here. Rodriguez, I think it is trying to get onto the tail, and he's making it. And Denny Menchov is trying to cross the gap. Sanchez has not responded.
Yeah, but also coming across is Robert Gesink as well, because that's the other rider a little bit further back. Rodriguez can't catching everybody there. You could just caught a quick glimpse of Ruben Plaza going back.
Contador doesn't know that. Contador has not really attacked in this Tour de France, apart from the instance down into the finish the other day. He has just followed because he knows he's the master of the time trial.
He looks concentrated there. He knows that all he has to do is match the man in front of him. He's just got to keep an eye on him. Schleck is accelerating a fraction here, trying to break.
Well, this is what Contador used to do. He doesn't look in any trouble yet. Remember that Contador, though he leads this race, hasn't won any of the stages. He won't want to go to Paris without Russia. He's got no answer to these two. This has become a personal battle now. The Tour de France is a sideshow. It's Schleck versus Contador. Remember, Schleck needs 9 seconds to get the yellow, so he starts last in the time trial on Saturday. He has said, if I don't start last in the time trial, there's no way I will ever beat Alberto Contador on Saturday.
Contador's going.
And he's gone. And is Schleck going to answer that one? I'm not sure he can, because this is going to be a massive attack. Andy Schleck, though, has got all of the courage that has come to him in this Tour de France. Look at that. He's back on him.
Well, he's not quite on him, but he's digging very deep indeed, and that was a very vicious acceleration by Alberto Contador, but slowly the Luxembourger has clawed his way back.
Well, really, Contador should turn round and shake his hand, because that was a superb recovery. I think there might have even been a word there, because look now at Schleck staring into the eyes of Contador as if to say, you sat on me all the way up and you thought you could get rid of me.
That was a stare right into the face of Alberto Contador by Andy Schleck.
Somebody's got to make a move.
Well, this climb, Phil, goes right the way up to the summit. They can't see the banner, it's covered in mist, but still we're looking at about 150 meters to go for Andy Schleck, and Contador's waiting to make that move.
It's got to come now. Of course, we're on the other side of the mountain and we are literally in the sun, but they're going to finish this race in the fog at the top. They look at the finishing line, they can reach out and touch it. It's Schleck on the right, in case you can't see. Contador, they start the sprint side by side, and this is a huge effort. Alberto Contador, though, wants a stage win, and they're going to cross, and he's let Schleck take it, and so he should. That was incredible.
You know, I feel it very difficult to see anybody, but again, there's going to be attacks, as we can see. Is that Schleck here going in the attack? No.
Nope, just trying to...
Fuglsang.
Just trying to push away once again. It's attack, attack, attack. It is, you know, it is. It's Andy Schleck. So the battle is on between Katusha and Leopard Trek at the moment. Well, that's a brave move, Sean, to go out by himself with 11 kilometers to go.
Yes, and of course Schleck again, he has to...
Frankly, Andy Schleck comes into the last kilometer now. Now we're coming up to the brutal, brutal finish of the Coburg. Have they let him get too much of a gap? Gilbert is chasing for all he's worth behind. 900 meters to go. His brother Frank has won this race, and in comes Andy Schleck. How far behind are Tim Rodriguez, though? They're going to catch Andy Schleck. Surely. He's giving it everything. Maximum of 12%. Who has got the kick to catch Andy Schleck. He looks over his shoulder and must be thinking, I've got to give it everything now. Whoa. Still waiting. Who's going to go for it? Kolobnev on the right-hand side.
Being impressive in the redoute climb, he was very strong, as we can see here when the Schleck's going the attack. It's the moment, to start going the attack now, because 21 kilometers, still that advantage of 24 seconds. They have really to break it up here, because too many riders in the group, and when you have that, you have a lot of teams, as we mentioned just a moment ago, sitting on. So,
or maybe they are. Gilbert is driving on, but Andy Schleck has fought his way back.
Il y a vraiment uniquement peut-être 2 km qui sont durs, un début très roulant, mais par contre, alors effectivement, Andy Schleck, il a raison, hein, il doit attaquer dès le pied de la bosse parce qu'elle est tellement courte, s'il veut faire la différence, il n'a pas le temps d'attendre ni de regarder. Hein.
Oui, et surtout que c'est cette première partie la plus difficile. On se posait cette question, comment Andy Schleck? Je pense qu'il apporte un élément de réponse. C'est sûr que ce col n'est pas très dur, mais le Poggio sur Milan-San Remo, si on va le faire à l'entraînement, même des cyclotouristes, c'est un pont d'autoroute et pourtant ça fait très mal. Les coureurs viennent d'effectuer 220 km et en principe les stocks de glycogène, ce qui est fait avant.
Bah voilà, plutôt que de montrer le peloton, on aurait mieux fait de s'intéresser à Andy Schleck. Et effectivement, Andy Schleck, on ne sait pas s'il a placé une accélération ou s'il s'est débarrassé de ses compagnons au train, mais c'est vrai que c'est vraiment la portion de terrain qui lui est le...
Andy Schleck, qui à sa manière, là il souffre. Là,
là il se teste vraiment, on peut dire.
Voilà, là il est à fond, il fait le vrai test. Le vrai test pour aller gagner une étape sur le Tour de Suisse. Je pense que ça va faire taire plus d'un des suiveurs qui ne savait pas trop où il en était. Je pense que...
Et s'il n'y arrive pas à revenir sur Thomas de Ghent?
Ah bah là, ça va encore alimenter d'autant plus la polémique. Mais comme on a vu de Ghent tout à l'heure, comme on voit Andy Schleck maintenant avec ce coup de pédale décidé et surtout l'écart qu'il a réussi à creuser assez vite.
Il ne va pas revenir sur Thomas de Ghent. Et pourtant on le voit à l'image, hein, c'est l'impression visuelle que ça dégage. Il se fait vraiment mal. Il a le regard, on n'a pas souvent l'habitude de le voir avec une telle détermination au niveau du regard. Là il ne fait pas semblant, il se teste véritablement pour prolonger la théorie que vous faites tout à l'heure. Et pourtant, même s'il arrive à se débarrasser de coureurs comme George Incapi dans la montagne, ce qui paraît assez logique, il ne parvient pas à revenir sur Thomas de Ghent.
On le voit, il souffle là, il donne le maximum dans cette échappée. Et finalement une très belle gestion de la dernière montée. Il a su gérer son écart de manière impeccable. 5 minutes sur Andy Schleck qui a tardé à sortir du groupe d'échappés.
Tony Martin now up alongside him, like Alberto Contador. Is he going to think of having a little move? Look how attentive Andy Schleck is as Alberto Contador accelerates, and you can see Cadel Evans is right there too.
This is the tester now. The top 3 names of previous tours are riding right in the shadow of the 3 times champion. He's checked them.
In the month of April, Alberto Contador goes again, and Andy Schleck right on his wheel, followed by Cadel Evans. Tony Martin will see that line of riders and accelerate.
The boys have tamed Contador and they're not going to attack him, but everybody else is having digs now. Another acceleration has gone. Could have been Tony Martin who's gone. Cadel has now gone, and look at Contador's got to react to that. I'm not sure Contador is as sharp as he appears here. He's having to work very hard. Andy Schleck is happy to just follow.
It's all pretty psycho.
The greatest climber in the world, but he doesn't look it right now. He's had to do an acceleration because whatever we said about Andy Schleck, he's just attacked, and Contador saw it and has gone. So did Cadel Evans. They've all lifted the game. The 4 favourites are going.
Yellow Venendert, he made the mistake as the acceleration now, and it looked like there's a little bit of a gap here. Where is Alberto Contador?
Seconds being lost. Contador's been unhitched, and Cadel Evans is in this as he goes through on the inside. There's 4th place at stake here. Cadel Evans on the wheel of and just look at this now. This is an attack coming from Andy Schleck, and Contador is immediately on his back wheel. Now it's up to the rest.
Well, now I think toughened up the race here this afternoon because they wanted to make it difficult for everybody else. Yes, they've isolated themselves, but they've also isolated all.
Damiano Cunego, Tom Danielson. These riders are all in this group. Now it's Chavanel who has been caught, and this time a second attack from Andy Schleck, and this time it is the amazing Belgian rider Van den Aert who has got onto his wheel first.
Cadel Evans responds, he sees that in the red jersey, he knows you can't let Andy Schleck go away on the slopes of a climb like this. Andy Schleck around that corner as if he's going on the flat, and he opens up a big gap. Cadel Evans has got the yellow jersey of Thomas Voeckler locked onto his wheel. The man behind that is Frank Schleck, but where is Alberto Contador now?
Well, he looks over, he sees Evans, he's scared of Evans, he thinks he's the man he may have to beat if he's going to win this tour. Evans has come right across the gap. The man...
Wait till we get to the steepest part of the climb. Here's another move by Andy Schleck, and look at Thomas Voeckler, he wants to go with that one.
Well, you get 3 times to attack, they used to say, and the third time you've gone again, and the maillot jaune of the Tour de France has gone onto his back wheel. Now comes the reaction from Cadel Evans.
Evans could see that. He was hoping that Ivan Basso was the man that was going to nail back that gap, but Basso had a lot of pain coming into his legs, and he realised it's important. Cadel Evans assumes control now. He's got Sammy Sanchez on his wheel, and Alberto Contador is still there in contact.
How much
Alberto Contador is, and I think he's waiting to see if Alberto Contador gets boxed in. That's the move he's waiting for, and his brother's with him.
Here he goes. It's the Schleck 1-2 now. Now they've all got to go, and comes there. He also comes across the gap, and Voeckler is on to him.
Of notice, Frank Schleck looked over his shoulder, and he left the gap to make Cadel Evans be in the position that he had to chase. The leader, but Andy Schleck now powering away again.
Well, are they going to hope him, or is he going to open a couple of seconds on the line with a sprint finish? He's determined to get something out of the day's racing, and he's distanced everybody. He will get a different time to them, albeit by 2 or 3 seconds. That's a very determined finish of the stage as he looks back, and Cadel Evans races up.
Il vient de prendre le relais. Il y a 15 secondes, 16 secondes d'écart entre Boasson-Hagen et les deux hommes que sont Mollema et Hiver. Le peloton, enfin en tout cas le groupe champion de France juste derrière. De nouveau attaque d'Alberto Contador sous la flamme, sous l'arche des 10 km. De nouveau attaque d'Alberto Contador. Ça n'a pas posé de problème à Andy Schleck. Cadel Evans qui revient. Pas de souci pour Thomas Voeckler. Est-ce qu'Andy Schleck va contrer? On se regarde, on regarde ce que l'on a mis comme plateau. Parfait. Avec Kevin Devert qui va peut-être rentrer dans les 10, Kevin Devert. Et il est déjà là, Alberto. Hein.
Oui, mais il y a les autres derrière, hein. J'ai pas bien compris.
Ah bah ils sont revenus derrière les frères Schleck. Ah ouais, là il nous a manqué un petit quelque chose à un moment. Hein. Parce que finalement...
C'était pas le bon groupe alors. Hein.
Finalement les frères Schleck sont là, Cunego aussi. Jean-Christophe Perrault est là. Jelle Van den Aert, et bien finalement...
Used his last man, Stuart O'Grady. There's a reaction only from Keramai, I think it is, who has started for Europe car. Now, can Tommy Voeckler answer this one? They're going to have to do something. He's gone very early.
Tommy Voeckler. What about Alberto Contador, and what about Cadel Evans? They've got to receive reaction at all from anyone. If Andy Schleck wants to do this, he may well be putting a lot of pressure on the rest of the main field. It gives brother Frank a nice, easy ride.
Well, this has had to have shocked the race leaders because he's gone so far from the finish of today's stage of the Tour de France. They will be unwise not to react to this, and they are hesitating. The teammate of Voeckler has come back here to...
3 occasions, the Giro d'Italia twice, and the Vuelta a España. He will use his teammates to the absolute maximum. Then once he's got no teammates left with him, then he will take responsibility himself. But this is a brave move. It's an iconic...
Frank Schleck riding in the wings, just watching and waiting. Andy Schleck is just cutting his own trail up the Col d'Izoard here, picking off the remnants of that breakaway one by one. This could well be the Rabobank's rider coming back now, Martin. We get up towards the summit. We top out at 55 kilometers to go. For the leader, it's still 3.6 to go. For this man, he's about another kilometer down the slopes.
Well, Andy Schleck is looking for 2:36 at the start of the day on Thomas Voeckler, but only 1:18 on Cadel Evans, who is the man he really needs to get ahead of in the overall standings. and he realises he
waiting for number 11 to catch him, and another attack. He had to go on straight away. He's now going past Izaguirre. No, he's not. He's going past Utazin Perez, who was in the original breakaway and not even giving him chance to get on his back wheel. Well, Joost could do no more. He just took a little breather.
Moved by Andy Schleck because he's not too far. He's just around the corner there. Doesn't want to drink. Thanks very much. I'm going for it here this afternoon. He's got his sights now fixed on the barrier over the top of the ride. Now on the descent, he will be looking around every one of those corners to see whether or not he can spot his own teammate, who I'm sure is waiting for him.
Well, Schleck has gone over there, 1:49 behind the lone leader, and not too far behind. He's actually gone over in 5th place in the climb. Sanchez, and I noticed, Paul, he is moving forward with Contador. They had a 90-second conversation before they came into Briançon. Then we saw the bike change of Contador, and now they're riding together towards the front.
Yeah, they've both got teammates in this group, and they could form an alliance on the road this afternoon. Both of them looking to win the Tour de France. And let's not forget, we may well be talking about Alberto Contador, but the winner of the Tour de France could easily be Sammy Sanchez, because he's a great climber.
Absolutely right. The face almost grimaces occasionally, but that's how he rides, and he always rides in and out of the saddle. He went to the back. He must have spoken with somebody. He went to the back, and now his teammates come back up here to the front. So there's a plan afoot for sure. At the moment, Andy, as they start the real climb, here come the leaders of the Tour de France onto the Col de Galizier. There is only one rider doing the work as Andy Schleck goes by us here in the commentating booth. Iglinski is on his wheel.
Well, Andy Schleck, Phil, just going past the front of us here, looked extremely cool and extremely collected. It doesn't look like a man who's going to crack at all. And the crowd, look at the ahead of the main field, which is being led by just one man, and that's Cadel Evans. The steepest part of this climb now for Andy Schleck, and this is the kind of gradient that he enjoys, and he's cracked Iglinski.
Straight away, he's pushed on. Where he's finding this strength from? Now he's gone again. Iglinski could not rise to that occasion. And now he is free to fly to win the Tour de France or lose it.
Well, that's what it is, Phil. He's taken the cards, he's put them on the table.
Down the gap and stops Schleck taking a big enough lead. Andy Schleck is now hitting the hardest part of the climb, and he does not look as strong as he looked 10 minutes ago.
Well, don't take it away from him. It's taken him a long time to ride to this point, and he had the courage and the dedication to escape with 60 kilometres to go to the finish. It's a tall order to do a climb that kicks up to around about 8%. That will hurt. I never know whether he's smiling or grimacing when you look into his face.
You cannot tell, can you? This man never shows you. And he's about 5.5 kilometres from the summit. He'll be looking for that 5 kilometre sign, and when it comes, it's going to inspire him, surely.
Well, I told you one thing a little earlier. The French riders have given him the nickname Andy Torticolis, which
will have cracked it.
Well, what an incredible chase that he's put in. He went away and bridged across to his teammate Maxime Montfort. On the way through there, he picked up Joost Postuma, who really did an incredible job. Not a great climber, Joost Postuma, but he managed to pace Andy Schleck for a couple of kilometres before he turned off the gas and slipped back just to survive on a day.
Up the rhythm here, and it's only a second at a time, but it's the right way. 5 kilometres for Andy Schleck. Schleck has just come through, 5 kilometres to go. Cadel Evans is the only man chasing. Everybody else is following the Australian. The gap is down to 3 minutes 14, and second by second, it's a painful way to earn your money, but Cadel Evans is clawing himself back into the Tour.
Well, this is brave.
The Col de Galibier, they couldn't even walk up the road today, and they come up the side of it, as we saw them set off about 9 o'clock this morning. Andy Schleck is heading up for 4 kilometres now. He's through the 5. It's clearly hurting him. His rhythm a bit disrupted, but he still knows he's leading the Tour de France, and that's got to be the inspiration.
That is what he's looking for. He's got to peg his style here and his cadence to that of Cadel Evans, who he will know is chasing like a madman behind to try and keep himself in with a chance of winning the Tour de France this year. And he, Phil, will appreciate a ride like this.
Oh, you can bet your life he's going to shout words of encouragement. This is what Merckx would have done. This is how Merckx would have won his Tour de France. He'd be full of admiration. He's shouting at Andy Schleck.
He's really suffering, this boy, now, as he starts to pick up the crosswind, the headwind, but he knows he's got to in 5th place at the end of the day. Andy Schleck now, Phil, has really got to suffer.
But what a day to suffer, knowing now with every pedal rev and 2.5 kilometres left to climb, he's climbing to the Maillot Jaune at 3:06, and he started to nibble it out again and back again. They are climbing at the same. How to get rid of Andy Schleck tomorrow in the mountains.
Schleck looking over his shoulder, looking down at the curves and the straight lines a little bit further down the road there, just to see if he can see what is happening. That should be 2 kilometres to go, that manner they've gone by.
2 kilometres to go. At the moment, it looks like this. Thomas Voigtler will stay in second place. But if it comes down to 2:36, and it's unlikely now, but you know, Thomas Voigtler may be out of yellow tonight, but we'll be talking by only a few seconds as all the cheers on top of the Col de Galibier now go to this remarkable ride today. One of the great rides in modern times by Andy Schleck in the Tour de France. He took the race halfway up the Isouard, knowing he had to go early, and he took the risk of blowing his whole Tour for Voigtler to keep his lead. Andy is just praying for the end of the stage now. I think the legs have cried, enough is enough. He's fighting now. Yes, he's getting time gain 6, and Voigtler keeps yellow, and it is tumbling down. Andy Schleck is now absolutely on his limit here. Where is the finishing line as the clock continues to descend? It is 2:40 and falling. The empty road of the Col de Galibier, one man against the field and the clock.
The clock at 1 kilometre to go, Phil, has just said 2:35, so Thomas Voigtler has climbed himself back into the overall leader.
I don't believe it. This is an incredible tour. Take your hat off to this man today. He has been the most magnificent attacking cyclist in modern times in the Tour de France, but he's a matter of a kilometre too far. The legs are folding beneath his body here as he comes up to the line. He will win the stage, and that he thoroughly deserves, and he might win the Tour de France by Sunday. But is he going to be in yellow tonight, or is this incredible Frenchman, Tommy Voigtler, going to be in yellow for the 10th day? And he gets it. The clock starts now.
You don't see in the modern day of professional cycling a breakaway like that. He gets the victory. He wanted the victory, and he's proving here as to why he's one of the great climbers.
What Andy Schleck did yesterday and making his run, that's caused a reaction from the field. I don't think anybody expected this. Contador is throwing the race back at them.
Well, that's the way to do it, and almost immediately he's covered there. You can see it looks like Andy Schleck's come right onto his wheel. He wants to do it day after day. Chris Anker Sorensen, he was sent out there. That was the plan.
He now looks over, he sees his team captain coming up. Andy Schleck must say, what is he doing? How good is he? Is his knee injured? He is in the red jersey here, sitting behind Frank. The backup organised again. They've come back together so far.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, that was very unfortunate for him, but I tell you what, I think his legs were hurting him first before he wanted to pull himself back into this tour. He didn't want to be regarded as a broken hero, a broken champion, which is why, and there's a little move going by Andy Schleck. That's the move by Izagir of Voigtler.
Now, a little conversation now between Schleck and Alberto Contador. Decision made. It looks as though he's willing to give him some help now.
Now starting to bite in, and again Andy Schleck looking comfortably across at Alberto Contador. The two men who were arch enemies and rivals last year now riding together at the front of the race, forming an alliance because they have to. They need each other to get over the top of this climb and to survive and consolidate on their advantage on the long valley road down into. Needed a big buffer. He needs a big buffer over Cadel Evans in the individual time trial, because Andy Schleck is not one of the best time trialists in the world, although he looking at the control of Team Leopard Trek. They've pulled themselves back to Cadel Evans, but where's Alberto Contador? He's still got a couple of teammates in this group. I would think he's hidden in the middle there in the yellow glasses.
Sitting and waiting, and now Fulsang, how long can he set the pace here? What is Andy Schleck thinking?
Huge time this afternoon. He's also looking for some glory as well. Andy Schleck is concentrated. He knows what he has to do. He has to try and get time between himself and Cadel Evans. But after being at the front of this race for such a long time today and yesterday, I'm not sure he's got the giclette or the attack to get the
scene, I think, Paul.
No, they actually queue up there for a couple of days to make sure they get it reserved for Holland, and you can see the Dutch flags waving nice and high. And if you ever fancy an all-night party, well, that's the place to go the day before the Tour de France actually comes to finish on the Alpe d'Huez.
Now, Contador jersey, Thomas Voigtler, then Cadel Evans has gone. This is the answer now for Australia.
Isn't a long way back. Andy Schleck now is coming up to the line and he's caught up everybody.
Taking on Velic as they come in. Schleck determined. Evans must keep that gap closed down. There'll be time gaps if they don't. As they race toward the line now, Velic is going to take on Andy Schleck. Look at this. And there'll be no split time here because Evans is making a dash for the line. Evans wants to prove a point and he usually finishes off with victory. But today, he'll have to pay second fiddle to Peter Velic, who is going to survive best. But in second place, it's Cadel Evans. I reckon tonight, in hindsight, he may have won the Tour de France. But tomorrow, Paul, it will be Andy Schleck in the Maillot Jaune.
It will be Andy Schleck. What a fight by the Schleck brothers here this afternoon, Phil, and it will...
In the podium right now, and there's a big cheer for the man from Luxembourg. Andy Schleck would dearly love for the race to be over right now. And I just wonder, looking ahead again to the time trial, Scott, I just wonder if there's that sense of doubt in his mind. Of course, they've got to go in there full of positive energy. But, you know, he's never shown those skills in the time trial in the past.
Well, his last two time trials in California and then in Tour of Switzerland were shocking. They were nothing short but shocking. So if you look at his track record, you'd say, OK, Cadel's going to...
Schleck has decided to accelerate here as he leaves the village of Wes, and this could be a good move by Andy. He's 23 minutes behind, so there'll be no reaction from Sky yet.
This is the move. This is how he made it from about 7th or 8th position. He indicated to us yesterday, Phil, that he had really good legs. He rode probably the best individual time trial I've seen him ride in many, many years. He wants to do something in the Alps, and I think this is something for him to be able to say to his detractors. And
Cyril Gauthier, who's ridden a great race, also being left now. This is looking at Andy Schleck here. Another acceleration by Andy Schleck now as he tries to reach the front runners and the trendsetters. He's not going to be reacted by Sky just at the moment.
Well, he always was a great climber. His Achilles heel was the individual time trial, and it was the individual time trial that nearly took him out of the sport when he crashed dramatically over 12 months ago in the Criterium de Dauphiné. But when he's on form, he's a magical climber to watch.
Well, this is the best we've seen him ride in more than 1 year now, because he's gone straight up here to Pierre Rolland's group.
And remember, Phil, before the start of the Tour de France, as he came out of the Tour of Switzerland, he said to everybody, do not discount Andy Schleck from the...
Team Sky and Froome, this has been a good climb for Chris Froome. He's had to do nothing. His team have been absolutely... He's got to come up a second time yet.
Oops.
Now Andy Schleck has got to the front. Pierre Rolland will welcome the president of...